Week 2 storylines. We're going to go game by game. First game, Cowboys-Saints. One storyline for the Cowboys. What will the offense look like against a legit defense? And CeeDee Lamb get back on track? Last week, a little weird. They got off to the big lead, and quite frankly, they were just trying to run the clock the second half. Lamb had one touch. Can he get back on track? And who's going to lead the Cowboys? Will Zeke continue to lead the Cowboys like he did last week, or will we see more Rico Dowdle? For the Saints, similar story. They crushed last week. Chris Olave, only 2 targets. He was almost non-existent. And can Kamara keep it going, averaging over 5 yards a carry last game, which he hasn't done since nearly his rookie year. Olave, if he has a bad game, could be a trade target you want to look for in the future. Once again, if you have your studs, start them. It's only week 1. Vikings, 49ers. Obviously, the main question here is, will Christian McCaffrey play? And if he doesn't, man, I hope you have Jordan Mason. Can Jordan Mason keep that train going? That's really the main question. The second question, of course, Brandon Ayuk. If you got 49ers, play him. For Minnesota, can Sam Darnold continue that phenomenal start? He was the highest rated quarterback in week 1, and he barely targeted Justin Jefferson. Seahawks, Patriots. With the Patriots, Ramondre Stevenson had a revitalized game. Now, the game script probably won't be as good this time, but it will be more negative, I would think, because the Seahawks should win this game. Now, the problem with the Seahawks, DK Metcalf, I'm expecting a bad game. DK Metcalf is one of my busts this week, as I will explain later. He's getting shadowed. He's bad last week, so he's another trade target after this week that I'm looking for. Giants and Commanders. Main thing I'm looking for here is who's watching this game. No, I'm just kidding. Jaden Daniels, will he show some improvement as a passer against a poor defense? And then can we do anything with Daniel Jones? If you're crazy and you desperately need a quarterback, you're in a deeper league, Daniel Jones would be a nice flyer this week. For Washington as well, man, can Terry McLaurin's value might be dead if Jaden Daniels is not a better passer. Rookie quarterbacks typically don't support top receivers. That's just even mobile ones. That's just the way it is. But it's brutal if you were looking for Terry McLaurin to be a type of guy who'd be finally a touchdown maker. Like, he's not. He never has been. That's not his game. So if that's what you were looking for, you drafted wrong. Wan'Dale Robinson, interesting pickup for a lot of people this week. And Malik Neighbors, how will he respond after week 1 in the NFL? He looked good. Chargers and Panthers. Will the Chargers need to pass this game? That's really all we need to see. Because quite frankly, they don't really need to. The Panthers got ran over last week, so I'm not expecting much from Justin Herbert, Quentin Johnson, Josh Palmer, Ladd McConkey. I just don't expect much out of them this week. I'd bench all of them. I think this is going to be a run. This is going to be a J.K. Dobbins, Gus Edwards game. The wheels on the Gus go round and round, round and round. For the Panthers, can Bryce Young please show us something? Please, please. We drafted Deontay Johnson. We were high on Chuba Hubbard because we were expecting something out of you. And that was our fault. But also, can you show us something? You were drafted number 1. You have the pedigree. So I'm looking to see if the coaching will be a little better. If Dave Canales can be a little bit more of a miracle worker as he was, drastically improving Geno Smith, drastically improving Baker Mayfield. Next game on the docket, Colts and Packers. Man, anytime you have a guy who can throw a 75-yarder off his back foot under pressure like Anthony Richardson did, it is a thing of beauty. The question here, I assume the Colts will be in positive game script. How does that look when they're leading versus when they're trailing? Last game, they were trailing, and they didn't really have much of the ball, but he was only 9 of 19, so not great passing. But man, when he does pass, like, he is a fantasy cheat code because it's deep balls or it's scrambling, just like we do on Madden, baby. For the Packers, no Jordan Love, assuming this week. And if he plays, it'll be a miracle. Is it just going to be the Josh Jacobs show? I assume they're just going to be pounding the rock, pound, bomb, 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 because you don't have anything else. Don't start any Packers receivers this week. Just don't. In the Find a Way to Lose Bowl, the Browns and the Jaguars. Oof. I think Deshaun's done. Like, quite frankly, I'd be surprised if he started all season. I think this will be the Jameis Winston show soon enough. So Amari Cooper, another potential trade target for you. If the Browns start 0-2, their season not quite cooked, but the pressure is going to be on for sure. And then, of course, the Jaguars, kind of the same thing. They found a way to lose. Will Tank Bigsby continue to have a huge role in the offense? As I said in the waiver wire segment, ETN still getting the big carries, the goal line carries, and the pass catching, but Bigsby looked more explosive. He kind of looked like the back you want. Christian Kirk had a horrible game last game. How does he rebound? against a tough defense. And man, Trevor Lawrence, now or never, baby. Let's go. Jets and Titans in an underrated logo battle. I really like what we're doing with the flaming T and the Greek mythology, and I like this Jets logo. How will Aaron Rodgers rebound for the Jets? Will their offense look more cohesive? Will their defense be able to stop the run? That was shocking to me how bad they were against the run, against the 49ers. I know they're a top run team, but they run similar offenses. They knew what was coming, and it didn't matter. For the Titans, can Will Levis not throw the ball to the other team? They gave the game away. The Bears did not score an offensive touchdown. They gave it away, which also means, can he support Calvin Ridley? Can he support DeAndre Hopkins, who should be back better from injury? If you have DeAndre Hopkins, hold for one more, maybe 2 more weeks. Let's see how he looks after the injury. Let's see what Will Levis can do. Let's see what this new offense, it takes a minute for it to get going. As someone who owns quite a bit of DeAndre Hopkins just because of the value, I'm really looking to see how they respond. And what I see is possibly the game of the week fantasy-wise. You have the Buccaneers and the Lions. Both teams should be able to throw the ball over the place. The Bucs are missing basically everybody in their secondary, and the Lions couldn't stop the pass last week, partially because they're so good against the run. I expect this to be a big Baker Mayfield. I expect it to be a big Chris Godwin. I expect this to be a big Mike Evans game, just like I expect a big Sam Laporta, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and Jared Goff, Baker Mayfield. If you need streamers, those are the guys you're looking at this week for sure at quarterback. They're my top 2 streamers, unless you're in like a 12-team league like I am, or everyone decided to get a backup too and just left me for dead. Raiders versus Ravens. What am I looking here for the Raiders? Can Garner Minshew force feed the ball to Devontae Evans? And who is the starting running back? Will Madison take more work? I'm kind of thinking so. Glad I picked him up in my deep league. Baltimore Ravens. Derrick Henry should get a lot more of the run. Let's see how the offense looks in a positive, great game script. I assume the Ravens win this one. I assume they win it going away. Rams Cardinals, another game with a huge over-under. Matt Stafford, I don't think Cup will get 20 targets, but he might get close, which is insane. The league I didn't take him in was the league I care most about, because I was drafting number 1, and then I was drafting in the mid-20s, so he didn't not quite the position where I felt like I'm reaching for him, but I should have. Obviously, Kyren Williams, the guy. Will Blake Corum get any run this week? There's a big question. Kyren Williams was huge last week. I expect him to be huge again this week. Now, there are questions on the offensive line for the Rams, so maybe more quick passing. Look for the guys like Demarcus Robinson at the line of scrimmage to get the ball. Will we see for the Cardinals, Marvin Harrison Jr. start to take off and perform like we know he can? Great game from Kyler last week. Just kidding. It sucked. He only had like 14 points. It was a solid NFL game, but it was not a good fantasy game. We need to get Trey McBride going. James Conner dominated, though. I expect him to continue to do so. All right, Bengals, Chiefs. This one's going to be another rough one for the Bengals, I think. The Chiefs seem to have unlocked their offense somehow after winning back-to-back Super Bowls with crappy receivers. Now they have great receivers, and now they're going to go full speed ahead. And I just see this one. The Chiefs, I think, are going to whip up on the Bengals, who, like I said in the preseason, always start slow. I would never draft Joe Burrow because I don't want someone who starts that slow. I expect them to get Jamar Chase more involved. T. Higgins, Adam Schefter already said he's probably out. Therefore, I would say he's out. I'm going to see a lot of Zach Moss, negative game script. So he's someone you might want to look to trade for. It looks like they're going to be down a lot. And he's the guy who can pass block. Obviously, starting Rashee Rice, starting Pat Mahomes, starting the whole thing. You know the drill. Start your studs, guys. It's only week 2. Don't overthink it. If you overthink it, that's where one time I started Rondale Moore over Zeke Elliott and lost because of it, because I overthought it. Bad matchup. No, start your studs, especially early. All right. In a game that no one wants to watch, but we have to by law, the Steelers and the Broncos. Steelers, touchdown this week? Nah, I just picked up the kicker, so I'd rather not. And then Broncos, a very horizontal passing game. I think McCaughlin had 6 catches for 1 yard or negative 1 yard or something insane like that. And it's like, how could you get so many catches and no yards? Javonte Williams, how does he respond? Can they do anything with Bo Nix? I was high on Javonte in the preseason, 2 years removed from the ACL injuries, thinking that he would do better, and he did not perform well last game. For the Steelers, George Pickens looked really good last week. Can he continue this role? All right, the Sunday night game. Just thinking, an alternate universe, the Texans have the number 1 pick and pick Bryce Young, and the Bears, they take CJ Stroud number 2. What I'm looking for on the Texans, let's start there. This Steph Diggs it was targeted in the end zone on design plays to get him touchdowns, get him going. When it's not designed for him, will he continue to get these touchdowns? I don't know. I don't think so. Like, I think this kind of showed us that you really want Nico Collins, and I actually think you want Tank Dell. So after this game, because Chicago has good cornerbacks, I expect this to be a run-heavy game from the Texans. Tank Dell might be someone that I'm targeting for trades. I was high on him on the preseason. He seems to be the guy that CJ Stroud just loves. When a quarterback loves a guy, you want him, just like Allen Lazard, who I picked up off of waivers. For the Bears, can Caleb Williams pass for more than 100 yards? We do with the pass catchers. Nothing yet. Wait and see. Don't panic till after this week. Hopefully a little more from DeAndre Swift. Finally, the Monday night game, Falcons and the Eagles. Man, Kirk Cousins looked bad, and they play the Chiefs next week. The only Falcon I really love starting this week is Bijan, for obvious reasons. But like, man, if I have Pitts, I'm obviously starting him because I don't think there's anyone really else on the waiver wire. And if I have London, I guess I have to start him. I draft him as a wide receiver 1, too. So it's going to be tough for the Eagles. Saquon, Jalen, AJ Brown, Devontae Smith. You're starting all of them. The defensive effort, it's hard to tell if the Falcons have a good defense. Like, I expect them to be better, but do they have a good defense? Probably not. It's probably just that the Steelers suck. I hope you win this week. I hope all goes well for you. Week 1 was more confusing than Al Michaels, Kermit the Frog, and Jordan Peterson all in a booth together. Great pass there to the 25, to the 30. Back to you, Al. Oh, thanks, Kermit. No, that was Jordan. Now to the 30, to the 20. Yeah, it's all just who knows who's talking, who knows what's going on. But stick to your studs, stick to your guns. Don't panic. Look for trade targets. People have bad matchups the first couple weeks. And we'll get back here in a second. But now, let's do our bets and busts. I nailed a few of them in the last couple weeks. Cooper Kupp, nailed that one. Devontae Smith, preseason, love that. Jamar Chase and Brandon Ayuk, disappointing week 1. Seattle and Chicago defense stepping up. The Browns defense failing, and Kittle missing projections. So I nailed those. It was a push on Jordan Love and CJ Stroud. They didn't run away with it, but they didn't bust either. And then I completely missed on Saquon and Derrick Henry. I really need to flip-flop those. Did not see them going completely away from Derrick Henry like they did, which was quite surprising. And then Saquon just crushed. So here are my bets and busts for this week. My bets, give me Anthony Richardson to beat projection. I mean, it's perfect, like I was saying earlier. It's either run it or deep ball. Awesome. Same thing with Justin Fields. He was my QRB1, quarterback running back 1 from a couple of years ago. And this game should basically seem like it's the same as last week. But if he gets a touchdown, then he should be able to beat that projection. They can't kick field goals, but I picked up the kicker, so I kind of hope they do. All right, my bets to do well this week at running back, Jerome Ford, a little bit of a bounce back, especially with Deshaun Watson doing so poorly. I expect them to kind of feed him the ball more. Brian Robinson Jr., the same thing. Great matchup against the Giants. Expect him to get the ball more. Chris Godwin, Greg Dortch, good matchups. The Bucs are facing the Lions. The Lions did poorly last week. Give me some Chris Godwin love there. Greg Dortch, I mean, most targeted player on the Cardinals somehow. A lot of potential to be paid to Marvin Harrison Jr. I think they're going to try to force feed Harrison Jr., but they also leave Dortch open. Love him this week. And same with Sam Laporta. Expect this to be more middle of the field. The Buccaneers are basically missing their entire back line, so love him this week. He's my bet to beat projections. Chargers, I mean, they're playing the Panthers. Give me that defense, and give me Washington with the Danny Dimes effect to do well as a bet. Now, obviously, these, like, you don't want to bet two obvious ones, but these, I think, are really good bets to do well. 7 busts. If he plays Christian McCaffrey, because I don't think he'll play, but if he plays, it's going to be more limited than normal. They're kind of, they're saying a lot by not saying a lot. So no thank you on that. CJ Stroud, he didn't boom or bust last week. And there's so much talent. Like, this one's a little scary to me because I think this will be a positive game script for them. And their cornerbacks are strong in Chicago. So that's why I think Stroud might bust this week. I know I said it last week and he didn't boom or bust. He kind of just hit his projections. So I'm going back to the well for it. More busts. Terry McLaurin, not in a passing offense. He's not a touchdown maker. Nothing to love here. Travis Etienne, man, split carries last week, costly fumble. They might force feed him early, but honestly, he looked like the second best running back, and he might be. And then Chris Olave, who's going to be, one of my trade targets after this week. He's playing elite defense. He didn't cook last week in nearly a 50-point win, so I don't think he's going to get shadowed by Trevon Diggs. He's not doesn't shadow that often. But I don't know, just got a weird feeling to the start of the year. New offense, he's not quite in the flow yet. Defenses to avoid this week, the Saints and the Bears. Saints playing the Cowboys at home. Cowboys dominate at home. And then the Bears playing the Texans at home. And quite frankly, kind of got ran over last week. So I think they're going to run over again this week. Well, like I said, good luck, everybody. Let's go get that second win of the season. Touchdown.